This is a short video on the topic of selection of target markets. Now, segments, when identified and selected, need to be developed. So when the business identifies a segment of the market that it may develop, then it must channel resources into marshalling what is required to meet customer demand within that segment. So targeting the segment in terms of its requirements, attractiveness and customer demands. In other words, the segment must be assessed for the likely volume of sales. What are the requirements of the segment? What's the attractiveness of the segment? Why enter the segment? And what's the likely customer demand, as I said earlier? So targeting the segment involves research. It involves preliminary research before the segment is actually targeted and exploited, before the product is launched in that segment. A business must decide on how many segments to exploit, and this will of course depend on the available resources. The business must pace itself in terms of its resources. If it's supplying in one segment at the moment, then perhaps all of its resources are going to supply that segment. So looking at a second segment, although it means growth, there will not be the resources available to increase production to meet the second segment. So that may involve borrowing and gearing and restructuring the business. That may be costly, and it may also run a risk that perhaps it's not prudent to do so. The targeting strategies themselves, well, it may be that the business wants to target a single segment, or a mass marketing, looking at all the segments, or it could be multiple segmentation. So there are different approaches to targeting, and we're just going to go through these very quickly. As I said, it's a very short video, this one. But for the moment, let's be sure about what we're saying here. The segments, when identified and selected, need to be developed. And this is done by looking at the segment in terms of its requirements, attractiveness and customer demands, making sure that the segment is worth entering. Now, the different targeting strategies, as I mentioned there. Let's look at the first one, the single segment specializations. Now, this will be, sorry about that, this will be the supplier, one product for one segment, in this case segment 3. Whatever segment 3 is. Segment 3 may be people of a certain age, or it may be a gender one, male or female, or it may be something to do with a particular culture or a particular occupation. Whatever it is, whatever the segment is, the supplier supplies one product for that segment. Mass marketing is a supplier one product for all the segments. That's one product and attempts to use the same product in all of the segments. Now that may or may not be successful. Generally speaking, if the segments are different, which they presumably are, then the same product may not fit all of them. However, mass marketing is of the format on the screen. One product aimed at all of the segments. The final one is multiple segments. The supplier develops different brands for each of the segments. So the first segment may be let's say female. The second segment may be of a certain age. The third one is of a certain education. The fourth one is living in a certain area, and so on. And the business develops brands targeting each one of those. That's multiple segments. Now, so we've got three types of targeting in terms of segmentation. Now, segment requirements. Well, different segments have different requirements. For example, multiple segments, different clothing styles for different age groups, for example. A single segment market, a marketing textbook aimed at marketing students. One segment, one product. Multiple segments, different clothing styles for different ages. So each of the different ages will have a different style. Multiple. Mass marketing, different models of a car aimed at different segments. And that's it. That's all we need to do in terms of target marketing. The idea is we have three possibilities, and we've looked at what those three possibilities are. So that concludes this video. Thank you for watching.